Well, Mark Pope is clearly working his magic out in Colorado because one of the best point guards in next year's class is taking an official visit next week.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we're going to talk about Taylen Kinney taking an official visit to the Kentucky Wildcats next week after Mark Pope, working a little magic out in Colorado, has gotten to coach him a little bit as Team USA's U19 one of their coaches. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Also on today's episode, going to talk about one thing I'd like to see from each freshman. That's right, the 4 different freshmen coming in this year's class. Going to talk about one thing I want to see from each of them, and I would encourage you guys to leave your suggestions. What would you like to see in the comments below? Let's go ahead and get into it. Taylen Kinney, obviously Kentucky native out of Newport, playing with OTE with with Team USA, the U19 squad out in Colorado Springs, trying to make the cut there to go participate with Team USA here, I believe, in just a few weeks. They're trimming that roster down, and of course, Mark Pope is coaching out there, and he's gotten the opportunity to talk with all of these top prospects. I believe Stokes is out there. Of course, Jasper Johnson is out there. Malachi Moreno just got cut, but it wasn't because of his play. It was because of an injury that he sustained. Talked about it on yesterday's show. Seems like he's going to be okay, just based on what the reports are, at least coming out about his health. But Taylen Kinney is somebody that had yet to take an official visit to UK as one of the best players in next year's class, and because he is a Kentucky native, we were expecting at some point to get him, and now that Mark Pope has gotten around him, we've got to see some videos of them just talking one-on-one, getting to engage with each other. He's now coming on an official visit, according to various sources. 24/7 Sports, I think, was the first to get this. I might be mistaken. Apologies if that is incorrect. But he will be taking an official visit next week. He's going to be taking a visit starting on the 24th. I think it's just a 2-day, so it's 24th through 25th. And this could not be more exciting for the Wildcats, who are trying to get some explosive guard play in next year's class. Obviously, taking a look at Jason Crow Jr. already, somebody that Kentucky is making, I think, a lot of headway with. But Kenny, in case you don't know, a 6'1", 185-pound point guard. Again, like I mentioned, playing with Overtime Elite in Atlanta, but he's originally from Kentucky. Rated as the number 14 overall player, number 4 point guard, number 2 player in the state of Georgia, according to the raw 24/7 Sports player rating. But according to the composite ratings, he's the number 16 overall player, number 4 point guard, number 1 player in the state of Georgia, a 5-star according to the composite, and a 4-star according to 24/7 Sports. I don't know how you could possibly have a top 15 player not be a 5-star prospect, but maybe that's just me. Overall, I think that he will end up being just a across-the-board 5-star prospect when it's all said and done, because he is an incredible lead guard. It's the scoring that you like out of Taylen Kinney. You can see it in the different scattering reports that have come out about him. You can see it, I think, just about anywhere on YouTube. This kid's all over the place online. Smooth, versatile is what Adam Finkelstein describes him as, with a versatile attack. He's got a 3-range scoring threat who is creative and crisp with his handle, especially adept at getting to his pull-up, but he can also get to the paint. And the big thing that you'll see when watching some of this kid's highlights is he is very explosive whenever you clear the runway for him. You give him an inch to drive, he is going to try and yam one on your head, and he's been successful at doing so. Various points with OTE, actually, and if you want to look at his OTE stats, they're not anything to scoff at. 20.1 points per game, 5 assists, 4 rebounds while shooting 65% inside the arc, 33.3% outside the arc, and 55.6% overall. This kid is a bucket, and there's not really any other way to put it. It's not like Rob Dillingham levels of flashiness, I would say, across the board. And I think the reason that it's not as flashy as Rob is because this kid is just physically built a little bit different. He's got a lankier wingspan. I think he's got more physicality to his game as far as what he is. Just like, and even Finkelstein points this out, he's got more muscle mass. He plays bigger than his size. The handles are 1,000% there. maybe, again, not to the extent that Rob Dillingham had it cooking just a couple of years ago, but this kid is pure. He is just a smooth, buttery smooth creator who can get to the rim and get to the mid-range. I would love to see him in blue and white because he would cook under Mark Pope, dude. With a fast-paced offense, this kid is out there running with a ton of injury. Now, Finkelstein does talk about how he could be a more consistent shooter, and you can kind of see that maybe in the way that he does shoot the basketball, kind of short arms things, which is what Finkelstein notes. But I think he can become more consistent, and I think he'll probably get more opportunities to become more efficient under somebody like Mark Pope instead of at OTE, which is just kind of that's a conversation for another day. But to read everything that Finkelstein has to say here, just to give you an idea of what the director of scouting at 24/7 Sports has to say about him. Scoring and playmaking lead guard who is smooth, versatile, threat, creative, crisp. We talked about all this. He can rise up at the rim when he has some momentum. He also has some dexterity and touch as a layup maker. He's capable of knocking down open threes with a plenty projectable stroke, but could get more consistent after making 33% in the OTE. Last season, he also has good natural instincts and timing as a passer, averaging 5 assists per game as a junior. He's great in drive and kick type actions, but also understands how to feed the post. While he's naturally aggressive, he does so without unnecessarily dominating the ball as he plays within the flow pretty instinctively, which, by the way, would be perfect for Mark Pope and company. Defensively, he's good with his hands and has shown flashes of being able to blow up ball screens, but like most kids his age, just needs to be more consistent with his approach. Physically, while he measures in at just over 6'1", he plays much bigger than his size, thanks to his long 6'6" wingspan, increased muscle mass, and physicality in the game. All of these things are reflected in the highlights you can see on YouTube. I can't show them here because of copyright issues, but I would highly encourage you, go watch this kid. He's so explosive. He's so fun to watch. He seems like he's a super energetic, fun personality. He's somebody that I would love to see for Kentucky next season. He's already taken an official visit to Louisville, played teams like UConn, Alabama, Creighton, Kansas State. All these different teams are in here with him as of late. He will take an official visit to Oregon later on in September. Crazy that that's only just a few months away now. We are so close to college football, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we will talk about what's going on with Mark Stoops and company soon. I just am just kind of blown away that this is the reality. But anyway, Talon Kenny visiting next weekend, June 24th through 25th, a top 20 player and one of the best point guards in next year's class. Let me know what you think about Taylen Kinney, a Kentucky kid, mind you, taking a visit with the Wildcats here in just a few days. All right, I'm going to go into one thing I'd like to see out of each freshman in this year's incoming class. So that's going to be Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, Braydon Hawthorne, and Andrija Jelavic. I want to see one specific thing out of them, something I would like to see out of them here in just a little bit. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Game Time. There is absolutely nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live, and this year's matchups are already delivering, and they are frankly about to wind down, but they've just been nothing short of absolute cinema. It's the kind of atmosphere you want to go experience live, and Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually go down the closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total changer. If you want to go get tickets to go see Kentucky at a neutral site, if you want to go see them play at Rupp, if you want to go see them play on the road, if you want to go see Kentucky football this upcoming season, there's no other place that you need to go than Game Time. You can take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. I certainly have, because I'm going to be going to Gonzaga versus Kentucky in Nashville thanks to Game Time. By downloading the Game Time app, you can create an account. You can use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, continuing along here on the Tuesday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Really appreciate you guys checking out the show today. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did so. I'm going to tell you one thing I'd like to see out of each freshman incoming player. And again, I'd like to remind you guys, if you want to give your thoughts here in the comments below. What do you want to see out of each incoming freshman? Would love to see what you guys have to say. We'll start here at the top with Jasper Johnson, the 5-star prospect, rated as a 4-star, according to 24/7 Sports, but this kid is a composite 5-star. Number 21 overall player nationally. One of the best shooting guards, one of the best scorers, most electric scorer, actually, according to Mark Pope, in all of high school basketball this past season. Played at OT, just like TK played with him. What do I want to see from Jasper Johnson? Well, we know about the explosiveness. We know about the scoring. We know about the handles. I want to see Jasper be a capable defender. That's one thing I'd like to see out of Jasper Johnson. We talked a lot once Kentucky's roster was actually complete about how, look, the defense is going to be good. The defense is going to be improved. Across the board, Kentucky should be better statistically. They should be able to go out there, put out better personnel, produce better numbers, win more games, blah, 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 blah. But we haven't really talked about, okay, look at this guard rotation at point specifically. What does Kentucky do defensively there? Is Jalen Lowe going to be able to supply Kentucky with the defense that they need at that point guard spot? And even if he's an average defender, can he sustain defensively what Kentucky expects out of him in terms of, not even in terms of steals per game, but just being able to stay in front of people? Because all last season, when Lamont Butler was not in the game, Kentucky struggled to stay in front of ball handlers. You need to be able to put somebody out there that's quick and can stay with kids. And when it's not Low out there, I mean, I think it makes sense for Jasper to be the guy that runs the point. And if it's not him running the point, he's probably going to be in the game still, because whoever else is sliding up to run point is probably going to create a hole at shooting guard. And again, we can argue about whether Otega Oweh is going to play the 2 or the 3. Technically, it doesn't really matter. All I'm saying here is that you're going to probably put Jasper out there as a 5-star top 25 prospect. And he's got to be able to stay in front of guys. He has the wingspan, he has the size to do it, but I want to see him just across the board be a capable defender. It's the one thing that I have concerns about when it comes to Jasper. Can he defend? I'm not asking him to be the most physical player. I'm not asking him to be Mohamed Diabate. I'm asking him to go out there and be serviceable, be capable of going out there and getting stops, or at least staying in front of a dude instead of letting him blow by to the rim. Far too often last season, that's what happened with Kentucky. So that's what I'd like to see out of Jasper. Malachi Moreno. I'd like to see Malachi Moreno be a great rebounder. When he is in the game, I would like to see Moreno control the boards. I'm not asking for the world's best rim protector. Frankly, I think Kentucky might have that in Jaden Quaintance. So I'm asking Moreno, whenever he comes into the game, maybe bring me something a little different. Bring me rebounding. Because when you think about it, I mean, if you're going to question what could Kentucky be good and or bad at, I think rebounding, having a really good rebounder is not necessarily in the cards, it doesn't look like. I mean, Quaintance is good, but he's not elite. He's not as good as Mari Williams was. So can you sub somebody into the game that can be that board getter for you? Board man gets paid. I want to see it on both ends of the floor too. I want to be able to see Kentucky be great rebounding the basketball on the defensive end, but what have we talked about with this offense? What's going to make it stay afloat if they're not going to be shooting as well as they were a season ago? Extra second chance opportunities. If Moreno is a legitimate 5-star center, as he is, according to the 24/7 Sports composite, number 25 overall player, he should be able to be at least serviceable as an all-around big man. We've talked about this. High floor, in my opinion. But, man, he's got to be go out there and control the glass. He doesn't look like the fastest player. He doesn't look like the most versatile player. But he's really good at a lot of different things, and I just need him to be able to give Kentucky second chance opportunities while taking them away from the other team, please. Because that's been such a pain for 2 years in a row now. So that's what I would like to see out of Moreno. Braydon Hawthorne, somebody that's probably not going to see the floor a ton this year, if at all. But I'd like to see Braydon Hawthorne become stronger. I'd like to see Hawthorne become more physical. The current MVP of the National Basketball Association was a wiry, thin, he was a no-name prospect, actually, coming out of Canada. Then Florida got to him. Then everybody blew. Then he blew up. Of course, he ended up coming to Kentucky. But he was a very wiry, I wouldn't say frail, just way skinnier and way less physical than he is in his current state as the MVP of the NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If Hawthorne's going to be here for multiple years, then I'd love to see him get stronger, because I think at his size, with his guard-like abilities, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to be the next MVP. But darn it, if you can put some muscle on this kid, he's going to be a really good scorer. He's going to be a very well-rounded, comfortable scorer at 6'9". Very hard to stop a 6'9" player who is not like this bruiser-type forward that can handle the basketball, glides to the rim with an extremely long wingspan, that can also knock down outside shots at a pretty solid clip as well. If he can just add more to his frame while developing his game at Kentucky, this kid in the long term is going to end up being a really, really good player. There's a reason why he was a highly rated prospect. There's a reason why teams like Duke and West Virginia were in on him. There's a reason why we were in on him, guys. This kid has the ability to be very special. Just add some more muscle. I'd like to see that. So I'd like to see Jasper be a better defender. I'd like to see Moreno be a great rebounder. I'd like to see Braydon Hawthorne become stronger. And Andrija Jelavic, I initially maybe set the bar a little too high of something I'd like to see out of him. Initially, I said I want to see him become an all-SEC player, because I really do think that he has that in him, but I'm going to take it back a step. I'd like to see Andrija Jelavic be a great jump shooter. What does that mean? Well, statistically, with Mega Basket, he wasn't the best three-point shooter. He's only shooting, 32% from deep. I want to see that go up to 37, 38, 39%. I would say 36% or higher for a 6'11" big man would be incredible. If he can get 37, 38, 39, though, he could be a great jump shooter. You look at what Kentucky's got in that front court with Diabate. Yes, high efficiency, but low volume. He was not a three-point shooting threat for Alabama last year, and he's not going to be that this year unless something dramatically changes during these summer practices, which I don't foresee happening. Which, by the way, just very random side note, thank goodness that Mark Fox is on this staff. Like seriously. The fact that you were able to go and have Mark Pope go out to Colorado and coach to Team USA U19 while also starting spring or summer practices with a former SEC head coach kind of leading the way, that's great. I'm very glad that this staff seems really well put together, and they got a former head coach on here that is coached in this league. I think it's a pretty good spot to be in. But Jelavic, I would love to see him become a great jump shooter, because you don't have a lot of that at the 4, at least available to you, unless you want to put Cam Williams at the 4 in certain lineups, which I would rather just have him play the 3 and have somebody like Jelavic or Diabate play the 4. That's really how I would see it. Again, maybe positions don't really matter that much to this Kentucky team. Honestly, that might be a big storyline this season, is that it doesn't really matter. Because, I mean, shoot, Williams is a taller player than Diabate, and yet he'd be playing a position higher. It doesn't really matter. Point being, I'd like to see Jelavic bring some of that versatility in his offense to at least keep teams on their toes, to not look at the front court and say, okay, well, they're not a threat at all. Thank goodness Carr and Almanor, that was his specialty. By the way, shout out Almanor playing with La Familia in the TBT. I can't wait for that to start. That should be awesome. But at the 4 last year, Kentucky had shooting. I want to be able to see that at least continue, because there are some things that you can do with your sets that if you got a big man that can shoot, causes some problems. So I'd like to see Jelavic develop into that. So to recap, Jasper be a better defender, Moreno be a great rebounder, Hawthorne become stronger, and Jelavic be a great jump shooter for Kentucky this season. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK, follow me on Twitter at @LanceDaw_, and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.